Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new ranking video here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dimberg. We are done with the month of January, so it's time to stop and rank all 7 new releases that I checked out in the month of January. My name is Max Dimberg. Welcome back to Max Talks Movies. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do rankings like these every single month, as well as movie reviews, TV show reviews, box office breakdown show every Monday, as well as add a theater reaction. So please subscribe and definitely ring that bell. Tons of content flowing on the channel in the next couple of days. So please consider subscribing and ringing that bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below. What is your ranking? What are all the movies that you saw in the month of January? Rank them for me. Do you disagree with my list? This is just my list, not the right list. So let me see your list in the comment section down below. Also, please, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Also, before I get my ranking here, the first movie that I did see in theaters in 2025 was The Brutalist, but that technically is a 2024 release. So I'm only ranking movies that officially hit either theaters or streaming services in 2025. So just want to put that out there. It is 7 movies. I have done full-fledged reviews for each of these movies here on this list as well. If you want to check out longer thoughts on each of these 7 pictures. Without further ado, let's get into my ranking for the month of January 2025. Also, by the way, I have not done this in over 2 years, but I just love doing ranking videos. So I wanted to do this back with you guys. So every month, when the month turns a page, I'll stop and rank all the movies that I saw in that month. So that's supposed to be the new video moving forward. Without further ado, let's get my ranking on all 7 releases I saw in January 2025. Starting at number 7 for me is Netflix original film Back in Action. I guess I am in the kind of minority. It seems like people don't like this movie, but I really hate this movie. And I don't understand why it's not getting as much, I guess, hate from people. More than most of these other Netflix original films. This film did not work for me. I really enjoyed both Jamie Foxx and especially Cameron Diaz. I was happy to see Cameron Diaz back in a role like this, her first movie role in 10 years. While Glenn Close for me was easily the best thing going for this film, this is a very much a not for me movie. It's another family plan like movie where the parents are lying to their kids that they're not action people and they're not spies or this or that, and then they turn back the page and they're working back in the spy game of sorts, and there's another MacGuffin that reveals all these people, or not just reveals all these people, but can have all the power of society. And we just have been there, done that a billion times. I genuinely did not think Fox and Diaz had that strong of chemistry. If I'm not mistaken, it's their 3rd movie that they have been in together. And you would not know that if you watched Back in Action, because this is a movie that really, they don't have any chemistry whatsoever. The movie didn't make me laugh, honestly, one single time. These are 2 actors I've seen in plenty of comedies that have made me laugh out loud tons of times. So that was pretty shocking. The movie is just not well made, in my opinion. There's so many scenes where you can tell the hand-to-hand combat stuff actually is pretty decent in this movie, but the problem is there's a lot of overusage of CGI elements that completely pull me out of the movie. There's a scene where they're in a snow-capped mountain, and Fox and Diaz, there's snow falling down, but it's not hitting them. It just looks like they're in a saturated, unrealistic background, and it completely pulls me out of the movie. So I think the movie overall just not very well made, and the 2 lead actors for me just didn't have that much chemistry in this film. So this is a disappointing way to start off Netflix in 2025. Coming number 6 for me is Prime Video's You're Cordially Invited, the most recent movie I finished off the month with. And this is, again, a extremely disappointing movie when you have Nick Stoller, the director of Forgetting Sarah Marshall and the 2 Neighbors films and Bros and the Apple TV's Platonic. Having him write and direct a full-on comedy film with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon and tons of other big-time cameos, it feels like an easy slam dunk with at least a decent time, but honestly, this was a slog to get through here on Prime Video. The movie's nearly 2 hours long, and the problem is not one character in this movie really has a bone in him, as everyone in this movie is either petty, annoying, privileged, and just mean-spirited. And it is really hard to make Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon unlikable in anything. Will Ferrell is my favorite comedic actor of all time. Reese Witherspoon is easily one of the most likable actresses in Hollywood over the last 2 or 3 decades. And she is someone who, both these actors are so charming and so likable. And it seems like the screenplay just assumed that no matter how rude they make these two characters trying to ruin their others, someone in their life's wedding so much, that the charm of these actors would overcome the mean-spiritedness of these characters. But sadly, it does not, because these two characters do awful things to other people, to, the opposing families, as it is a wedding day, very sacred day for people, and these two go out of their way to ruin it in so many different ways. And I just didn't buy. They had decent chemistry in the movie. There's a couple gags and bits that actually did work for me, especially one particular cameo did work for me in this movie. I just wish I had a bit more fun. There's some laugh out loud moments, but the story did not work for me. The chemistry at times wasn't the best between Witherspoon and Ferrell. And I think we're at this point now where I'm just disappointed now by the majority of Will Ferrell movies over the last decade, which is pretty disappointing. At number 5 for me this month is Wolfman. This is the director Leigh Whannell, who just came off directing Upgrade and Invisible Man. This was my most anticipated movie of the month. And honestly, it became one of the most underwhelming. This movie is kind of okay. It is still, just like Upgrade and Invisible Man, extremely well made. There's a lot of creative filmmaking decisions, like the perspective shots of when Christopher Abbott's character becomes Wolfman and what he's listening to, as compared to what Julia Garner and Matilda Firth's characters are able to hear what he is saying. This film is made, the creature design, the fact that it's basically all practical helps this movie a ton feel a lot more plausible than it is. But the difference between his first 2 directed films and this film is this movie lacks any kind of creativity or freshness at all, and smartness that was had with Upgrade and Invisible Man. Both those movies, you've seen plots like that before, but he took such creative and fresh twists and turns and spins on genres that it made the film a lot more unpredictable. This is honestly an extremely straightforward movie that I think misses the boat on a lot of its messages. It's trying to tackle generational trauma and difficult marriages, but the film does not work from a story level because Abbott and Garner honestly just don't have any chemistry. You just don't buy them at all, that they were a serious married couple from the moment they're on screen together for the first time until the very end of the movie. The father-daughter relationship, really enjoyed that. I said the creature work, some of the jump scares work for me, and it's extremely well made. I think the story and the messaging, especially the generational trauma thing, which actually fits this movie a lot. But this kind of just felt like a cliched, generic version of Wolfman. It's passable, just wish it was one of my favorite movies on the month of January. To number 4 on this list, and that is DreamWorks' Dogman. I had a good enough time with Dogman from DreamWorks. The animation is amazing in this movie. The creativity, the chaoticness of Dogman, I actually quite enjoyed. Petey the cat, voiced by Pete Davidson, was easily the best thing going in this movie, and his subplot with Little Petey was easily the single best part of the film, voiced by Lucas Hopkins Calderon. That was easily the best part of the film. I said the chaoticness, the voice cast is really strong here. I just think the movie kind of has no major heart at all for the first hour, 10 minutes of the movie. And then the last 20 minutes to try to pack so many messages for kids. This is a movie that is really intended for kids. And I think kids are going to have a lot of fun with this. I just wish we had a little bit, not more adult themes in it, just better heart spurred out throughout the entire film. It just takes too long to get what the movie's trying to say and say their message for kids. But for me, it takes until the near end of the movie for them to really hit home what the movie's trying to be about. And that for me is a big misfire on a story level. It's a fun movie. I just think it's gonna be one of the more forgettable animated movies I'll see in 2025. At number 3 for me on the month is Presence. Really enjoyed this film from Steven Soderbergh. This film is about how this family moves into this place, and the camera, the perspective of the camera, the whole movie, is of the entity, the ghost that is haunting this house. And I found the movie to be extremely effective. Two excellent performances with Kalina Liang as Chloe, hopefully I'm saying her name right, and Chris Sullivan were huge standouts here. The idea of this daughter who's gone through a lot of trauma in her life and the fact that she seems to be seeing things. This movie does a great job that everyone sees that there's something wrong with the place. So it's not just she sees stuff and the whole family's doubting her the whole movie, but the different family dynamics felt all too real. I think a lot of us could be able to relate to the family dynamics that happen in this film. Not all the way, but there's some points that are just really realistic. They feel like an actual, genuine, real family that has its issues, its strengths, why some people are not on the same page, why some people are. And the reason why the movie, you care about the movie is that it feels like an authentic, real family. Not like you're watching a movie, it feels like you're actually watching real people in the situation. Liang is someone and the character of Chloe, you want her to make it out of this. She has suffered enough and you kind of want her to make sure. But the unpredictability of what this actual ghost is led to a really amazing experience. And also the perspective, the gimmick that Soderbergh went for, I think helped the movie more than hurt the movie. On a negative level, I just didn't fully connect with the ending of the movie. It didn't hit totally home for me, but still, overall, I had a really good time with Presence. At number two for me is Wallace and Gromit not Curse, we Rabbit, Vengeance Most Foul, which was Netflix's first movie of the year. And I'm someone who grew up watching Wallace and Gromit on loop in my household. I watched it a billion times. Still, we watch the shorts and movies on a yearly basis. And the fact that it took 20 years to get the next Wallace and Gromit story, way too long, but this movie absolutely delivers if you are a big fan of this franchise. Feathers McGraw, if you're a big fan of Aardman like me, adore Feathers McGraw. He's the perfect villain to throw into the mix here. The idea of not talking about AI specifically, but the dangers of us being too reliant on technology and how some people, like Wallace in this film, believe that technology solves all problems and it all means has good intentions. But the doubts of Gromit lead to a good point, which is that, yes, some technology is good, but also some technology is not meant for good intentions and can be changed for bad purposes. And that overall message of today's society, putting that in a technological advancement of Wallace being a creator makes a lot of sense for this franchise. It's funny. I laughed throughout the entire film. It's been a long time since I've had a big smile on my face from the opening credits to the end credits. It is a joy to watch. I do think the police subplot takes too much screen time in this movie, and it feels like every time they cut away from Wallace, Gromit, and Feathers to this police subplot, the movie does drag a bit. But overall, this is still a perfect Wallace and Gromit movie that I can't wait to honestly rewatch for years to come. And coming in first place for the month of January for me at number one is Companion. This is the brand new thriller film. I'm not going to get into specific spoilers as it pertains to the actual plot and the spoilers that the movie itself has leaked via its last couple of promotion materials and trailers. But Companion was a really fascinating look at a dynamic of a relationship, what people want out of relationships, and when they have the power, what will they do? And I found that to be a really fascinating idea. This movie, it has a lot of genres that it is trying to balance: horror, thriller, comedy, sci-fi. It is balancing a lot of different genres, but it all blends really well together. Sophie Thatcher continues to be a star on the rise. She is a really complex and nuanced performance in this film, and I can't explain why she's trying to give that performance, but when you understand the movie and you understand what I'm talking about. She has to reach different levels at particular times depending on what her character does, and that's a really tricky performance not to be too over the top on, and Thatcher delivers. Jack Quaid's also phenomenal in this movie. He has his parents' charm and charisma, but also you can sense his character's darkness and true intentions. And Quaid also really good. But it's a really great ensemble. Lucas Gage, Megan Suri, Harvey Guillen, Rupert Friend are all really good in the movie. It's really fresh and original with a lot of really good twists and turns in the first two acts of the movie. Will hold this movie back for me a bit, for probably won't be in my top 10 or 15 of the whole year of 2025, is because the ending for me felt very flat. The first two acts are really fresh and original and energy. And for me, the third act felt kind of okay. Like it was the right ending for the movie. I just wish the third act took just as big of a swing as the first two acts did. But overall, Companion for me easily is the #1 movie in the month of January. What are your thoughts on my ranking? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.